and welcome into Rebecca K. Crochet. I'm Becky, your yarn host. And as you can see behind me, I'm sitting in a different spot. Actually, I'm just on the opposite side of my room. I have scrap yarn down here. This is all scrap yarn. I have bins of yarn over here. You're seeing a little bit more of my yarn room. I have all my scrap cakes up here. Not all of them, but some of my scrap cakes up here. I'm building a yarn wall behind me. I'm in the process of building a lot of stuff, and I am working on my cardigan. So I thought you guys might like to see a little bit of a behind the scenes of what I do in a day. And this is my other side of my yarn room. And I'm just going to sit and crochet and let you guys watch what I'm doing. Maybe talk a little bit, and you may hear my dogs bark. I have Pomeranians, and my husband works on small engines, and he has people coming and going this time of year all day long. So my dogs like to bark. And we have planes flying over today also. So you may get a little bit of that. I don't know how talking to myself is going to go. I usually just tell you what I'm doing on my stitches, and right now I'm just working on the cardigan that I'm getting ready for a tutorial on, so it's not a, just a massive process. I've just got a lot of behind the scenes that I'm going to have to do, and I may not talk at all. And I just may put this to music, and you may see me crochet to music. I don't know yet. I just know I want to get this cardigan out on Thursday, and nobody's asking me to do that. It's just a deadline that I have for myself. I've got another cardigan I want to start, and I can't get that started till I get this one done, this tutorial up, because I don't like to have, I've got so many projects on the fly that I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'll show you a little bit of that here in just a second. Maybe. You can see some of them I have in that container right there. I have those all along this wall on the top of my yarn that's got projects in it. All different kinds of projects. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 of them up there, and one over on the other side of me. So that's 11, and this one is not in a project box or bucket or whatever. So that's 12 projects I have going right now. And that's a lot for me. I'm usually a one and get it done and not have so many, but we've been cleaning out my yarn building. And yes, I have a yarn building. It's a 12 by 20, and I used to crochet in that building and until I broke my ankle. And then I moved into here, but what happened was my husband said, we've got to get this stuff cleaned out. So I started moving my yarn into the house, and I have a lot of scraps. I didn't realize how many scraps I had because, they were just in bags and boxes and sacks. And he started bringing in these sacks saying, here, do something with these. And I'm looking at him going, these are all scraps. What do you expect me to do? And so I pulled out my yarn winder and started winding up yarn, and these are the cakes that came from all those scraps that I have. I used to sell hats on Etsy, and bearded hats, and my hats looked like real beards. So I sold them all over the world, and I had a very, very good business going with those until I lost my Crojo. There is only so many dark colored items that you can make. It's only so much camouflage, so much man colors that you can make before you lose your Crojo. I'm a bright color. I like a lot of color. I don't like neutrals and earth tones as well as, I mean, I don't mind them, but I want color splashed in also. And making bearded hats is mainly for guys. So I decided that, you know, I just lost it. It was like I just didn't want to crochet anymore. I did knit hats too. I have a knitting machine. I have 4 knitting machines that are the great big, I think they're brother knitting machines. I have one of them that knits on its own. I haven't figured that out yet. I have the one that knits on its own will also do the lace patterns. And that's something that I may start doing on here, but I have to go set it back up. I have to have room to set it up. And it, because it takes up a lot of room. It's I want to say 4.5, maybe 5 feet long, but you can do a lot of stuff on it. But my husband would do the knitted hats for me because he can do the knitting machine, and I would crochet the hats. And I was faster at crocheting hats and making 2 beards. I could get a hat crocheted and 2 beards done and 1 beard almost attached to the hat before he could pull out 1 hat. So I used to crochet extremely fast. I've slowed down since then because I am not production crocheting anymore, and I want to crochet for the joy of crocheting, not for the production and making money at crochet. I've been on the craft circuit, done that. Realized the craft circuit probably was not where my heart was. Don't get me wrong, I love meeting people. I'm a people person. But trying to sell my stuff I'm not a salesman. I just don't like trying to sell my stuff. So I was like, yeah, I can make it. Somebody else can sell it if they want to, but that's not where I'm at. If you hear weird noises, my husband is working on a lawnmower outside. So you may hear a lawnmower. You may hear that was an impact wrench. I don't know if you heard that or not, but he is working outside, and sometimes we can hear him, sometimes I can't. It just depends. But I do have the windows open, so probably will be able to hear him because it's a beautiful day outside. And this cardigan, I have the first part up. It says, you know, summer cardigan. I think it's called summer cardigan or cover up, I think is what I put on there. But I'm going to call it the tulip cardigan when I get completely done, because the stitches remind me of a tulip. And so that's why I'm going to call it that. But first part is up. This is just me working behind the scenes. The second part, I'm hoping to get it out on Thursday. That's why I'm doing this video here today, is so I have another video. When I decided to do, and this is a tough undertaking, I know, but when I decided that I was going to go all in on doing videos, it took me several years to do this. I've been wanting to do videos for several years. And when I decided to go all in on doing the videos, I decided I was going to have a video every day. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I was going to do a video every day. And I don't work outside my home right now, so I should be able to do that. I should be able to put up a video. It may be crochet. I love to garden also. I grow most of my own food in the summertime. And so you may go outside with me and see my garden. I may have to can food because I do a lot of canning and dehydrating also in the summertime. And that is something that, takes a lot of time. So you may see a few of those videos scattered in and out because that's just part of who I am and what I do. I may even show you my dogs. I may have one come in here and jump in my lap here in a minute. She's not usually far away from me for very long. And she usually sits on the side of my chair, which she is not here right now. So she's probably looking out the window. We had somebody just leave, so she's probably waiting on somebody to come back. I have 2 males and 2 females. I have a mama and a daddy and 2 babies. So, hear one talking. Can't talk about them. They talk a lot whenever I do that. And what else do we do in the summertime? Summertime's coming up. It's getting warmer. We're having storms. Right now we're having rain and that kind of stuff. So it's been busy at night, especially when the storms come through, because they're coming through at night, and I don't like that schedule when they do that. It throws me off schedule, I don't want to get up until later, and because I'm up all night. I guess I could crochet in the middle of the night. I guess that wouldn't be a bad thing. Back to this cardigan. It is not a difficult cardigan once you get the repeat rows down. It took me a minute to get the repeat rows down how I wanted them. I like the stitch, but getting the rows down, and I'll show you a few little tricks along the way that helped me out, because I would get off in my count and it would turn out wrong. I'd be like 1 off or something, 2 off, and my stitches didn't line up then, because this is very symmetrical. And I do not like that right there. A pair of scissors. Take that out because I don't like the way that looks right there. And this is part of the design process. Anytime that you are doing any kind of design on your own, or just putting something together, making anything crochet, you will rip back. It's part of the process. You will undo your stitches and go back. Don't like the way something looks, take it out, look at it, don't like it, remove it. It took me a long time. Whenever I first started crocheting, I was 10 years old. And when I first started crocheting, it was nothing but like a long, long, long chain. And then I had to figure out from books. I didn't have anybody to teach me, so I figured out from books how to crochet. This is way before the internet. So I think people are really lucky if they don't have somebody passing down their their knowledge to them that they're very, very lucky to have somebody that will do that for them and pass it down to them. Whoops. I have to go back and down below and look and see what I did below. That's how we do this. Chain one and then go in there. That's how I do it anyway. Yep, that's a single crochet. Let me get my row going and then I'll be able to talk again. This is the row I always mess up on, but I figured out a trick, so it's not going to be so bad now. But that's just a little bit about me. I try really hard to think of new things and challenge myself and do new or different projects. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. I don't know what, I don't know from day to day what's happening. It might be better if I turn some light on me. I just realized that I had shadows everywhere. Nah, it is what it is. Okay, so I want to show you, I'm going to have to tear out a whole bunch because right here, I got my stitches off. And how I caught it was that if you look on these stitches, this single crochet, I'll try to get close enough so you can see it. This single crochet right here lines up with this stitch down below. This double crochet lines up with the middle of this stitch right here below. Okay, and then I have a single stitch, single crochet lining up with this bar, but then I single crocheted where I should have double crocheted, because right here in the middle of this stitch, I single crocheted, and that should have been a double crochet. And see how it threw my pattern off? My pattern should be like this over here, where all my single crochets are lining up with, or my double crochets are lining up in the middle of the tulip petals. And you can see all of that where they're lining up. And then all of a sudden, they don't line up anymore. They're over into the middle. So I have to take all of this out. And this is the pattern I always mess up on. This is the row. If I'm going to mess up, it's going to be in this row, because it's setting up your next, tulip pattern. And if it's not even, if it's not right, and you mess up like I just did, it's okay. You just take it out and you go back and you do that process over again. That was what I was telling you. It took me a long time to figure out that it's okay to take out your stitches. It's just a process, and you just have to go with the flow and do the process. Your mind wanders. You don't think about crochet all the time when you're crocheting. You're thinking about other things, and your body starts to relax, and my mind starts to relax. And because I get into this repetitive state that is very soothing and calming, and that's what crochet is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a relaxation time, a time to soothe and calm your nerves, and take you away from whatever is bothering you, to the point that so that you can function without having, to scream at people, or, have a bad day. This is supposed to, when you're having a bad day, you should come in here or go into wherever you crochet at, and just be able to calm down, and to soothe yourself by crochet, which is what I do. Of course, I crochet all the time, but this also takes away my creative, it doesn't take away, it enhances my creativity. And I used to be afraid to design things, and I started out small. The bearded hats were one of them. I've always had to, I would try to follow patterns online, and I'm tall. I'm almost 6 foot tall. So they were like too short. Always too short, never too long. I could never find a pattern too long. But they were always too short, or they did not fit my body correctly, because I am long and tall, and I used to be really thin, and it just never fit my body. So I was always having to alter patterns. So then I decided, well, I'll just make my own patterns, which, at first I started out with just small things altering, and then I started designing my own stuff. And then a few years ago, I watched a lady make a recipe, because I was always afraid to do cardigans and, clothing that I could wear out. And this lady said, well, crochet is a recipe, and you can make your recipe how you want your recipe. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I watched the way that she explained how to measure your body for yourself. And it's pretty much what I show in the first of these tutorials on what she said to do and how I actually do it now. And it is a little bit confusing on how you measure it, but the best thing I can say is get a jacket that you like. If you're going to make a cardigan, get a jacket for the length and measure from the shoulder down. I never did. I just threw a tape measure over and thought, this is where I want it to hit me on the back side. And on the front side, how far down is that? And that's what I did. I just, I'm tall, so I'm always adding to the stitches anyway. I'm always adding to the length because it does. Sometimes it lengthens depending on the fabric that or the material that you're using, the yarn. Sometimes it'll shrink up, and sometimes it will stretch out and get longer, depending on the stitch and the yarn that you're using. Cotton usually will grow a couple of inches by the time it's said and done if you're using cotton. So make sure you take that into account. It's going to be probably 2 inches longer than what your intended goal was. So you might want to make it an inch or so shorter than what you think you need to on cotton. Acrylic doesn't do that as much. It pretty much stays how you want it, but sometimes it gets too hot to wear acrylic. It's just way too warm to wear it all the time, even when it's got a lot of holes like this one does. So, but whenever I decided to start designing, then I was like, okay, well, I can make my own stuff. And I've got a lot of cardigans and a lot of, blankets that I have designed that people have never seen. And I had friends and family say, you need to start teaching this. You're teaching everybody around you anyway. Why don't you go online and start teaching? And I was terrified. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do all this stuff. And I'm just scared to death of putting myself out there. What if people don't like me? What if, it's the what if monster. What if this? What if that? The fear of, doing this stuff. And what if they're not nice? And my size had some things to do with it, so I was like, well, and then I got to thinking, well, people accept me where I'm at now, so what does it matter? So if you have something that you want to do, if you want to go online and you want to teach how to do something on YouTube, go for it. I say just go for it. Don't let your fear hold you back, because if you do, you will never grow. And the sad thing was, I'd always told my kids, never let your, hold on. Okay, we had a dog barking fit, and I've got one in here staring at me. She wants up in my lap. But I'd always told my kids, never let your fear hinder you. Don't let your fear stop you. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And I got to thinking about that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm letting my fear hinder me and stopping me from doing, what I'm good at and what I should be doing in the first place, is teaching this craft to people. And I got off somewhere. Hold on. Oh, I see where. And so I decided, no more. I'm not doing this. So I just sat down in front of the camera and filmed it, and then hollered at my son and said, hey, would you help me? Can you help me edit this? I don't know how to edit, but we need to edit this video. And that's how I started. And it's not been very long ago. It's a couple of weeks ago. And I got used to the editing process and thought, well, this isn't so bad. So anybody can do this, but I've taken up enough of your time. So I think I'm going to end the video here, and you guys have a great day. And I hope to see you again. And if you can, like and subscribe if this is something that you want to follow. And I sure would appreciate it. I'm still crocheting, so I'll probably never turn the camera off now. Because now I think I have to crochet with the camera on. That is what is so funny. I used to nope, not going to do that. But now it's like, oh, I crochet with the camera on all the time. But anyway, if you'd like to, follow and like and subscribe, that would be great. I would appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one. Have a great day.